All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. It is Monday, September 21st, 2021. And wow, what a day. I mean, what a day on the Sunday prior, what a night the Sunday prior. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-1, and I would never think that I would be so happy saying that, but here I am with a lost voice. Looking at my good friend Spencer Nathaniel Schultz, who is riding along in the car as he's getting home from the game of Chiefs at Ravens, week 2. Ravens 1-1 after a huge 36-35 victory over Kansas City. How are we feeling, bud?
Incredible. I'm on cloud nine. That was, as a Ravens fan, we do this. We try to be objective, but at the end of the day, we're subjective. And that was the most fun I have had in years. That's the most fun I've had in my life in years. And you can say what you want about that, one way or the other, but that was some of the best entertainment value. That was some of the best social experience, some of the best environment, some of the best smiles, laughs, high fives, all the cliches you can possibly think of. It was amazing. I have never seen anything like that before in my life. We're going to get into it, and it was amazing. And you come straight out of Chi-Town, just living life, eating Chi dogs, coming back to Baltimore, and then just watching good football. So I'm happy to have you back. We missed you. We need you. We love you. And we're here. It was an amazing night in the 410.
Well, I wasn't expecting the praise there, but I do appreciate it. Yeah, I was in Chicago for work for the majority of the week, so I got back. It's funny, I got an impromptu invite to the Hall & Oates concert on Saturday night. Anybody that was out at Merriweather watching Hall & Oates represent, that was a good time. So went to Hall & Oates, woke up, cut the grass in the morning. It was just kind of a low-key weekend. I was kind of framing it all around the fact that, like, you know what, I'm going to go to this game on Sunday night with shout out to Eric Jacobs Real Estate, friend of the program.
Shout out to Eric Jacobs Real Estate.
100%. And like he had offered me these tickets months ago, so that was my plan. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make it back in time, and we're gonna make this thing happen. I'm gonna go to the game, and I am not expecting much. I predicted 48-0 famously, Chiefs over Ravens, but yeah, for anyone who's paying close attention to my Twitter account, which I would not recommend that you do, I posted the Skip Bayless my jinx tweet worked situation. So that's
we've needed that for quite some time. You've had W's in those shoes for quite some time.
I have. Yeah, I think I was owed that for the reason that I did that thing. So yeah, I did the Skip Bayless jinx tweet. Chiefs 48, Ravens nothing. That did not happen. But yeah, it was that kind of situation where I was looking forward to the ambiance, the getting back into the tailgating scene, getting back into the going to the game scene. But I didn't have much of an expectation as far as the Ravens actually winning it. So like even throughout the entire game, and like they kept it close. Like credit to the Ravens, credit to Lamar and some of the guys on offense, and even some of the guys on defense. Like it was going to be a tough game for them all the way through on both sides of the ball, both phases. It was going to be incredibly tough to hang with Pat Mahomes and the red hot Chiefs offense, who had themselves a dynamite second half against the Browns to get to 1-0. It just felt like it was going to be so fucking hard. And like, you know what? They hung with them. And like, even right up until the end, when Lamar scored that touchdown and when he somersaulted into the end zone to put the Ravens up, I was like, you know what? I love Lamar. That's when I tweeted, I love Lamar Jackson. And I did mean it. And 100%, like, I still, like, no matter what, I would have thought it. But I was like, you know what? I'm tweeting this. I love him. We're going to lose this game. Like, we're going to lose. But like, you know what? Lamar did his thing tonight. He had a couple mistakes, but he bounced back from it. He did what he had to do. And, that's just kind of the rub of the green. But defense stepped up. A young man named Odafe Oweh, who you and I both, I don't know if we were 100% super high on the draft pick, but, we
were intrigued and a little confused.
We were confused.
And I don't want to size us at all. I want to give us the least amount of credit possible. We were intrigued, confused, and curious, very much so. And I think that was a lot of people looking at that pick as, looking at it as the D word, developmental. But guess what? He's developed quite well over the last 2 weeks.
He's developed so well to the point that he had a sack against the Raiders in week 1. He had a couple, I think at least, 1 or 2 pressures. And then tonight, just insane ability. He crashes the pocket on Mahomes to force an interception by Tavon Young. Tavon Young had a rough game in week 1. Great to see him kind of bounce back with that interception. That's really kind of what propelled the Ravens in the fourth quarter to hop back into that game and really make it a game ultimately, because without that turnover, it's kind of hard to imagine, the Ravens getting back into it, but they do that. And then, I mean, that's why I say, like, when Lamar scores that touchdown, I'm like, you know what, we're going to lose, because the Chiefs have 4 minutes to work with and they're just going to go. And the Ravens had, because of poor management, they only had 1 timeout left. And it's like, you know what, the Chiefs are going to milk the clock here. They're going to kick a field goal with Buck or do whatever they have to do, and it's not going to work out. So that's where I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Great night, a ton of fun, great to be in the bank, and we'll see everybody, next time that we're out here in 3 weeks or so against the Colts. But Odafe Oweh punches the ball out on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then he jumps on it like an absolute savage, the savage that he is. I don't know how you, like, I can't understand, I can't comprehend the physics of, like, doing half the things these guys do. Punching the ball out and then recovering your own fumble, I can't imagine doing that at all. So he does that, and
in like a rhythm, in like a confident rhythm as well.
There was no nonsense about it. It was just a completely all business, and he did it. And, like, that was a moment where, like, I had to think for a minute, like, is this a fucking simulation? Like, what is actually happening? Like, shout out to Eric. I looked back at Eric, and, like, we were both just freaking out. Like, all our friends that we were at the tailgate with, like, we're there together, and we enjoyed that moment. That was a big one. I'm assuming that it was big on your end as well.
Absolutely. And just the sheer fact that the script of the game went negative immediately, as quickly as possible. I mean, a pick six, but what are you going to do? We've seen this before. It's what's happened when the Ravens have struggled in the last couple of years. And ultimately, they flipped the script. The entire game, they're playing cat and mouse. The entire game for 4 hours, they're chasing the Chiefs, this efficient, well-oiled machine. And the Chiefs never really, they had moments where they made the Ravens bleed pretty badly, but it was a lot of dink and dive and dodge, the 5 Ds of dodgeball. And Baltimore did a great job. Odafe Oweh did a great job containing it, allowing, if it's 2nd and 6 and they convert a first down, it's not the end of the world, living to die on 3rd down, and ultimately playing their best football at the crux of the game, at the absolute paradox of the game, at the most integral parts. And the fact that they were able to, number one, beat the Chiefs, number two, slay this narrative of, it's the stuff that we hate talking about, Jake. It's you and I, we talk about being down, can they do this? Can they do that? Yada, yada, yada. They did, ultimately. And at the end of the day, it was an incredible sight for the city of Baltimore. It was an incredible sight for people who so happen to like the Baltimore Ravens. And it was an incredible game for Lamar Jackson, who basically had a microcosm of his career. And that's not even a good way to put it. He had the worst mistakes he's ever made as a professional quarterback, as an NFL quarterback, as a guy who took over at 21 years old for Joe Flacco in 2018. We never saw him make the mistakes he made tonight. We never saw him throw into quadruple coverage and get picked off. We've seen a pick six here and there, but we've never seen him shoot blanks, so to speak, the way that he did, and then respond to it for 3 straight quarters with persistence, with perseverity, with every aspect of badassery possible. And it's spine-chilling. It's numbing. It was all you can ask for out of a Sunday night football game, especially as a Ravens fan watching the Chiefs come to Baltimore and putting up points against Patrick Mahomes, getting it done on both sides of the ball when it mattered the most. The stadium could not have been louder. It was pandemonium. It was pandemonium. So at the end of the day, you're on cloud nine. Nothing could be better. You know, there's going to be people that make fun of Ravens fans, say this is your Super Bowl, this is your this is your that. Well, guess what? For being September, this is the September Super Bowl. Sorry to put it that way. If that offends you, I apologize, but it doesn't get much better than this in week 2, coming off of a tough loss against a good Las Vegas Raiders team that we've touched on, and now being here looking at 2 spicy boys that simply counted the Ravens out. And there were a lot of people. There were a lot of comments.
I love the ESPN
Exactly.
website. I love ESPN's website. It's the best.
Exactly. Pop it up. But hey, Chi-Town, Shy Glizzy, Jacob Luke, Spencer Schultz, we had a blast tonight. And the Baltimore Ravens had one of their signature wins in the Lamar Jackson era, and I couldn't be happier right now.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is. And like I'm glad that you hit on the early interception, the pick six, because man, that was definitely the moment for me where I was like, you know what, like we had spent all day, like I mentioned, I had been tailgating all day. You had been tailgating as well with mom, and we met up before the game a little bit to have a couple beers together for a few minutes, and man, we had ourselves a good time opening up the day and going into the game. And I think we walked into it with that mindset of like, you know what, like it's a game against an incredibly talented team, a very well-coached team, a team that is going to be tough to beat. So probably not going to win, probably going to 0-2, but like let's just be happy to be back here in this environment, and let's be happy to be back in a spot where we're playing against good teams and we're in prime time and all that kind of stuff. Let's just enjoy it. And that was kind of reinforced by the pick six. Like, they take the ball. I think they do just a 2-yard run for their first play on offense, and then Lamar just promptly, chucks one up to Tyrann Mathieu, who takes it back for a touchdown. And you just kind of all the wind of any idea that you could get a win, kind of comes out of your sails, and you're like, okay, whatever. Like it's going to be a long night. And that's not totally how it worked out. Like they leave the quarter, I think, down 14-7. I'm not totally sure how it all played out. I've watched the highlights since then. I'm looking at the Gamecast now. It's very confusing because there was a lot of scoring, but that pick six happens, and it's like, God, this is tough. Then some other stuff happens, like the Ravens score a touchdown.
Hard to stomach, really hard to stomach.
It was hard to stomach. Yeah, it was, and like that's probably the right word for it. But then they bounce back. They have the Tyson Williams is rushing to the left. He fumbles it, but Duvernay grabs it and like just dives into the end zone. Okay, so it's like, all right, we maybe got something going tonight to the point where they're not going to get blown out. And that was kind of the spark I think that they needed. They needed to play, and they got one in that weird situation. But ultimately, like the Chiefs were just kind of moving forward, and like they really could have won this thing if not for that fumble by Edwards-Helaire at the end. I mean, like it was just the Chiefs just kept making plays on offense, and the Ravens were hanging with them to their credit. Like they were doing what they had to do to like keep it as a 1-score game. They just needed the defense to do something.
They were losing battles, but winning wars ultimately.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to put it. And like, it was just that thing where it was like right at the end there, like, talking about the beginning. Now we can talk about the end. Like right at the end there, it's just like, you know what? Lamar scores that touchdown, whatever. Like we did what we had to do, 35 or 36-35. Chiefs are going to score a touchdown, probably score a field goal at the very worst, and they're going to win this game. But you know what? The Ravens put on tonight, and they did what they had to do. And you know what? They got a fucking play out of their defense, which was really, really all they needed, to turn this season back onto the right track here. So I'm incredibly happy. I'm incredibly happy about this win. I am incredibly happy about this win. I hate the Chiefs so much. I hate Patrick Mahomes, and I am incredibly happy about this win.
You can't be much happier. The way that they were able to execute consistently in crucial situations on third downs, both on offense and defense. I mean, we're generalizing here the night of the game, but the ability to hit Mark Andrews in stride, get a first down, get a key first down, the ability to make short stops, the ability to limit explosive plays by this defense. And the Ravens put themselves behind the eight ball in terms of offense, and all were chasing the entire game. Chasing. You know, the Chiefs did a great job taking underneath throws, doing things of that nature, but ultimately limiting explosive plays turned out to be the reason they won the game in many ways. And the Chiefs put up 35 points. You can't go look and say the defense won this game. You know, they had a recipe to stop the Chiefs. They didn't. But when it came down to the most important and crucial moments, they were able to pass off coverage. They were able to play zone, play man, able to execute assignments in coverage, force incompletions, get pressure. Odafe Oweh turns into a superstar at the end of this game and beats an incredible Chiefs team. And now you're looking back through the first 2 weeks and looking at a Las Vegas Raiders team that has a really strong defense behind Gus Bradley, is able to take down Pittsburgh, and also, you know, looking at Kansas City Chiefs team takes down the Browns. And there's so much irony and speculation and possibility within this AFC. And that's what makes it fun. That's the best part about it. But at the end of the day, the Baltimore Ravens have suffered more injuries than anyone could have foreseen as possible, just between isolating J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Marcus Peters. Give the Ravens one of those players, and maybe there's a different game last week, but guess what? They didn't. It plays into John Harbaugh's good mantra. It plays into the cliches, plays into the difficulties, and all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, M&T Bank Stadium roared. Lamar Jackson shook narratives, and the Baltimore Ravens take down the Kansas City Chiefs, which seemed like an impossible task that they perfected for 3 quarters. And to the roar of the crowd, it was a beautiful scene. It was a beautiful environment. It was a beautiful night. And if you're a Ravens fan, life is simply good. There's nothing else to say right now. 1-1 could never be better for a Baltimore Ravens fan right now, for a Baltimore Raven, for the Baltimore Ravens organization, for Lamar Jackson, and everyone in between. It ultimately was a beautiful night. And the Ravens are going to roll out of it, go play the Detroit Lions, and life is good.
It certainly is. Like it just, I don't know, man. I don't even know what I was going to say there. I think I had like a thought lined up, but it's hard to get better than a win that you just have no expectation is going to happen. You just have no thought process. And I've come back to what I was thinking of. Like, I think part of what defines it is the fact that they get to the situation where they're in, where they punch the ball out. They Odafe punches the ball out. He forces the fumble. Ravens are driving on offense a little bit. And I think back to last week with the Raiders, where I felt like they got a little bit conservative last week. They kick the field goal, but they give the ball back to the Raiders with plenty of time to drive for their own field goal. And they do that, obviously. Dan Carlson kicks a 55-yarder. They go to overtime. This week it's way different. They have some sort of busted up running play on first down, but then completion to Sammy Watkins, something else happens, and they're in 4th and 2. And I think I guess we can wrap on the defining image of this game, or one of the few defining images from a huge game, is John Harbaugh talking to Lamar Jackson and saying, "Hey, do you want to go for this? Do you want to go for this, Lamar? Like, it's 4th and 2, game's on the line. We get it. We win." Very reminiscent, obviously.
It feels like a strategio moment where
It does.
it's trying to get your blue chip, your actual champion, fired up for the situation. And we've seen this before, but there is a little bit of showmanship to it. But at the same time, who is a finisher on the Baltimore Ravens offense? Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, one.
Lamar Jackson finishes, and he finished tonight after starting horribly. And you see these moments, and, you know, going back to what you were saying, you got to pick it up, you got to throw it back down.
You have to. And basically, like, that's just sort of that's a nuts in hand moment there, like for the first couple weeks. Like, I don't know, man. I have the feeling that if they had punted back to the Chiefs there, they would have lost. And the fact that they went for that, A, and got it, B, that's pretty much the defining moment of the first couple weeks here for me. So I've certainly had a little bit to drink. I'm not 100% coherent, nor is my analysis, but just one of the better nights to be a Ravens fan in a long time that I can think of.
Not too many moments, especially that is the return to Emmett for so many. And people have not seen them play since 2019 in that stadium. Lamar Jackson, the electricity that he brings, the fact that the script was out of Hollywood. That was Tarantino stuff. We're the biggest Tarantino fans there are in a podcast. We would do anything for QT. But to be able to have that be the narrative, have that be the script, watch that develop with the theatrics, watch that develop with the drama, all of it almost seems scripted. It almost seems like out of a movie. And it was the most satisfying, delicious, thirst quenching win that Ravens fans can have. The way they were able to come back, the way they were able to look themselves in the eye and play up to an elite level opponent, the way that the stadium started shaking, everything in between. There were so many different moments. There were so many third downs. There were so many key moments throughout that game, especially through the second half, where it was trademark, simply built different. Ravens fans rock the house. Lamar Jackson digs himself out of a hole. The Ravens execute, execute, execute. They limited big plays. The Kansas City Chiefs kill you with big plays. And the Ravens were in a hole. They let up a few. Absolutely. They're down 2 scores. They're down, throughout the first half. But being able to limit plays, being able to make 5-yard gains, 7-yard gains, and recover after a Travis Kelce screen that was a backbreaker. That was that screen flipped into a 40, 50-yard touchdown. Almost seemed like it was fake. The inability of the Ravens to tackle and to rebound from that moment, to come back, to mount all of it, was out of Hollywood. That was out of Friday Night. That was a Peter Berg movie. That was something I have never seen before. And Lamar Jackson being at the helm of it, amidst the COVID drama, amidst the contract talks, starting out 0-1 in a really difficult overtime loss, everything. I mean, Patrick McCarry, we can speculate here. We're not able to go look at the X's and O's on the same night, but I'll tell you what, Villanueva and McCarry played their tails off. That offensive line. Ben Cleveland comes in. Mark Andrews plays his tail off. Tyson Williams, Xavier Murray, all those guys. To be able to duke it out in the high pressure, high leverage situations was just a chef's kiss to a football fan of the Baltimore Ravens. You can't ask for better. You can't ask for anything more. And amidst all of, I keep saying amidst, I sound like some sort of, consigliere of a hotel.
Amidst.
Amidst.
Oh,
Amidst it all. But between everything that's happened with the injuries that the Ravens have piled up, between everything that has gone on in the last month, to be able to David to Goliath, this AFC back-to-back, almost to back champion at home on Sunday night after a tough loss is the right stuff. Plain and simple. We're juiced up. Jake, we had a blast. Everybody had a blast. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than what you got out of Baltimore Ravens football, especially in September. This is the best result you can get in September as a Baltimore Ravens fan. It is number one. It is the best. There is no feeling better. Nothing will ever equate to what happened tonight in September. It was the best September win in Baltimore Ravens history. Plain and simple. Hyperbole or not, whatever. You missed out if you didn't go to that game. If you counted them out like we did many times, I lost $100 in the Ravens. I financially split my feelings well in advance. We didn't do it. I didn't sip the purple Kool-Aid, and they got it done ultimately. And it's about time. It is about time.
Go to war, Miss Agnes. Huge. I mean, it is that time, like you mentioned. It is that time, and there's not a whole lot else to say. We had ourselves a good time. We slipped in there, and we watched one of the more fun September wins that you could have ever had as a Ravens fan if you're our age. So
Football
huge.
is so bad. Football is
Football is
so bad.
football is football's back. There's no other way to put it. Football is back. The Ravens are back. The Ravens are back after
Baltimore
last
is
week.
back. Football is back, and Lamar Jackson is back.
The some of the things I was hearing after this past week, and listen, I was no optimist about this team after last week, but some of the things that I was hearing to see what happened tonight, it was just very comforting. It's a warm blanket on the darkness that I was experiencing and seeing, and I'm very glad for it.
Very glad for it. At the end of the day, the way that the Ravens were able to execute in crucial situations was defining of a John Harbaugh football team, defining of a really to go maybe a little bit too far, but to look back over the last couple of years to a Chiefs team that has beaten them each of the last 3 years, to the narratives that have surrounded John Harbaugh and Andy Reid and Lamar Jackson and what the Chiefs have been to the Ravens and what the Ravens are and their ability. I mean, by the time you're listening to this podcast, you're watching First Take, you're listening to whoever the hell is on that show anymore, Nick Wright, I don't know, Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless. Exactly. You're listening to these people talk about the miraculous things that are done, but they didn't see it coming. We didn't see it coming. It is the grand irony, it is the showmanship of the sport. To see Ray Lewis come out and tickle the old goose feathers throughout the game and have all of these elements of showmanship, of drama, of theater. You can't ask for more. You're waking up on this beautiful late September Monday in great weather, in great spirits, and we're with you. We're here. We're going to be there, and we can't wait. We can't wait to see what the Ravens have in store after this win. It completely shifts everything after only a week. And are there overreactions from the Raiders' loss? Yes. Are there underreactions? Yes. Is there narratives that are, podunk? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's all good fun. And this team is for real in many ways, despite injury. And this victory will taste sweeter than the finest Chick-fil-A sweet tea at noon tomorrow when I indulge myself to get rid of this hangover. Jake, I love you. Eric, we love you as well. It was amazing. We had an amazing day today. An amazing win. As a fan, we're fans. We're fans of the Ravens. We try our best to act like big J's. At times, we're not. But can't get better than this. Can't get better than this in September.
It does not get better than this. So I appreciate you hopping on with me. Anyone's curious, Spencer is in fact indeed in his car on the way back from the game. Mama Schultz is driving, so no worries about that. He has just been tuning in and helping me facilitate this pod. I need him to complete these things. So, just a little peek behind the curtain. I can't do a solo after a win like that. I can't do it. I needed to have some sounding board.
We might get tattoos. We might get tattoos. I don't know.
Brother, I listen. You're talking my language now. So maybe at some point we will get tattoos of that game. But for now, I'm glad we were able to hop in the studio and recap it. Looks like we're gonna have about a half an hour episode. But yeah, it's certainly extraordinary circumstances as these last couple weeks have been. But hopefully, we will be getting back to more normal ones. We've got the Broncos or the Lions and then the Broncos coming up after that. So I think it is going to be. But in the meantime, we've been kind of Jerry rigging it, making it work. The boys did a great job previewing this game. Spenny and Voss, and then obviously big shout out to Cole Jackson, friend of the show, hopping on and previewing it. But here we are at 2 a.m, breaking this thing down, doing a little review. One of the more fun that we have that we've done in a while. So it was a lot of fun. So thank you guys for listening. Everyone that's on the live stream right now, I see on YouTube people are commenting. Sorry, I'm not kind of going to those, but I'm a little too drunk for that. So yeah,
just a wee bit drunk for that, laddie.
Yeah, just a tad bit. So thank you for commenting. But yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for everyone listening to the pod version, which I'm gonna have to edit after this. But in the meantime, Spenny, you got anything? You got anything left here?
I've got everything left. This was an absolute bolt of energy into a beaten, battered, bruised, and damned team. And at the end of the day, this, I mean, we've been talking about this for a year, Jake. We've been talking about this game. We've been talking about the unfortunate circumstances. We've been talking about the prospects of it and emotionally removing ourselves as fans. And they delivered in the biggest way possible. If you're listening to this, you're listening to an absolute blast of a game, of a weekend to cap it off. Prime time at home, all the good stuff. It can't get better. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Jake is stringing it out. He's been, traveling this weekend, coming back, coming to the game, going through his emotional roller coaster they put us through, and we're having a blast. We appreciate you guys. To everybody who, stopped us today, talked to us today, and came out. We didn't get to formally throw together the real Baltimore Beatdown podcast tailgate, but those are coming very soon. And we'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you so much. We love you. We will see you soon.
We certainly will. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed this win. If you didn't, then you're probably pretty nuts. But either way, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will talk to you guys again later in the week.
See ya.
Arrivederci.